I wouldn't say the treaties are being particularly upheld. Often not even in the way that they're written, let alone in the more broader way, the much broader promises about how to live together.
Although the Constitution protects treaty rights, some nations have had to pursue legal avenues to have their understandings of the treaty recognized and the promises fulfilled. Both historic and modern treaties have yet to be fully implemented.
For the most part, Crown-Indigenous relations haven't been good, and efforts to implement treaties haven't been taken up by the Crown. Part of that is that the federal government's policy in implementing treaties is aligned with a policy of assimilation and a history of colonization. And in large part, the agreement to share that was concluded in the numbered treaties hasn't been given effect.
It has been, in many cases, turned around into somehow gifts for Inuit, or somehow Inuit won these things when we exchanged our homeland for a number of things that if non-Indigenous Canadians were asked to do that with their homes, I would imagine that they would find those terms of that deal to be not acceptable.
What we're seeing then with Canada and with Ontario is that they're not upholding that part of the treaty that says that we need to be respecting and entering into reciprocal relationship with the beings of the land. Instead, we have quite an exploitative relationship with the land.
If Canada and the Crown recognized our nation or the Confederacy of Nations as a relevant body to engage with, I think that the relationships and our communities, the health and well-being of our communities would look very different.
Many times we don't have federal governments who are eager to help us implement the provisions of our agreements. So a federal minister can overturn a co-management body decision. And it was by design, and all of our agreements have these types of structures.
If we look back to the history of Canada-Indigenous relations, it's very clear that that idea, that foundational philosophy of the two-row has not been respected at all. Canada has tried to destroy our connection to our culture, our language, and our ways through the Indian Act. That means that the two-row has been violated.
I'm not okay with how the Crown is representing me within that treaty relationship.
Even in 2022, I believe that many public government bureaucrats, some federal bureaucrats, imagine that if they can minimize the Government of Canada's exposure to complying with provisions of land claim agreements, that they are doing the best job that they possibly can for the Government of Canada and for Canadians. I hope that this is completely flipped on its head, and that we have a system that celebrates success for the implementation of modern treaties versus a system that celebrates the lack of exposure to expenditures on modern treaties as success.
Failing to implement treaties has significant consequences for Indigenous nations and people.
So it's not just that we're not able to get clams or we're not able to fish. I mean, that's certainly an important part of it, but what's been taken away is not just those lands, but our ability to care for those relationships according to our own laws and governance structures.
From a structural perspective, Inuit have been lobbying for a modern treaty implementation review commission, which would take some of these grievances about the lack of implementation to a space that the federal government can create that can help facilitate positive resolution to some of the challenges we have for implementation.
The core things we need to take up in implementation is deeply understanding what relationships of sharing are and how to best share in both the benefit but also in the decision making in relation to lands and territory.
Our leadership talks about our land claim agreements being shared, that is not an Inuit land claim agreement.
We still recognize those nation-to-nation relationships. It's the Crown and the country of Canada that have broken those, not us.